episode 41 of the Nerds United One podcast. It is Paul English, joined by Chris Miller. Chris, how are you?
Doing good, Paul. Doing good. Doing good. And ready to join you and ready to do this episode. Nerds United One. Ready to talk. Ready to get on with the show.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to episode 1 of Saga Month. All throughout the month of November, we will be discussing various film sagas and anthologies, all the films in each one. And in this episode, we are going to be discussing the Terminator anthology. We will be discussing in detail the first...
Okay.
Yes. We will be discussing the first 4 Terminator films, because those are the ones that most of us have seen. At the end, Chris will give a brief... will critique his recent viewing of Terminator Genesis. I have not seen the film. He will try not to spoil anything for you, but we'll get to that. Before we begin this discussion, though, I do have a quick film review that I do want to go over. Yesterday, I saw Jurassic World for the first time. And how was it? It was fun. Undeniably stupid, but fun all the same. Not long after I bought it, a friend of mine told me not to go into it with high expectations. If you're going in expecting like a phenomenal story, well-developed characters, perfect placed action, you're going to be in for a huge disappointment. You just go in expecting to see cool dinosaurs and a huge-ass Franken dino stomping all over humanity's self-righteous ass, you're going to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? He was right. Because the story is thin as hell, and the character personalities are so simple they're almost cliches. A lot of unnecessary sub-line stories, but it's dinosaurs. It's Chris Pratt being awesome. The dinos look great. Our favorite motherfucking T-Rex gets her moment of redemption after the shitfest she endured called Jurassic Park 3. The Indominus Rex was friggin' awesome, too. It was fun, it was exciting, it was action-packed, it was everything you need in a mindless dinosaur movie. Can you go wrong with that? No. So, if you have not seen this movie, I will give you the same advice that my friend told me. Don't go in there with high expectations. Go in there to see a bunch of cool-looking dinosaurs and a huge-ass Franken dino and Chris Pratt being awesome, and you're going to have a good time. Those should be your expectations. Go into it with that mindset, and you will love it. Go anything higher, you're going to hate it. That is my review of Jurassic World. So anyway, with that out of the way, let us jump into the Terminator franchise, and let's begin with the one that started all, the one that came out 31 years ago. It's hard to believe that film celebrated its 30. We've all been talking about the Back to the Future 30th anniversary, and rightfully so. It is a fantastic movie, but the Terminator celebrated its 30th anniversary last year. I mean, that's a groundbreaking movie. It really is in a lot of ways. It's widely considered one of the best sci-fi movies of all time, and rightfully so. I mean, yeah, some of the effects by today's standards are definitely dated. You can clearly tell that, but it's still an unbelievable storyline. The action sequences are great, and the characters are absolutely memorable, highlighted, of course, by, the movie that made Arnold Schwarzenegger a star. He is the Terminator. I remember watching a behind-the-scenes thing on it, and when Arnold Schwarzenegger went to audition for this movie, he originally auditioned to be Kyle Reese, the main hero. But James Cameron just got a look at him and said, "No, I'm going to cast you to be the Terminator." The bad guy? Like, yeah, I just got a feeling about this role, man. I just got a feeling this character is going to be an icon, and you are the guy to fill him in. Bless you, James Cameron. You are so right. This movie made Arnold an A-list star, and it is an absolutely fantastic movie that I love. So, Chris, talked about the Terminator.
Oh my goodness! This is probably one of the most wonderfully directed, imaginative, and probably one of the most clever of movies ever written. I mean, it's just like the concept of it is just fucking awesome. They cast a perfect actor to play this role of a remorseless, unemotional, and just relentless killing machine, if you ago, that is sent back to time to kill this woman who will bear the savior of a machine, of a world in which machines are trying to kill us. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can say many actors. There are a few actors who were born to play certain parts, and Arnold playing the Terminator is no different. Like I said, he embodies a character that's completely cold and calculating, and it's just he is so massively frightening. It's just like his performance is completely believable as this character. It's just like, and it's the role that made him into an icon. I mean, most say with Conan the Barbarian. I think it took him one level, and he was on another level with Conan the Barbarian. But with this one, he jumped into superstar. This is the film that really made him a name. It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And he's surrounded by a really good cast. I mean, Michael Biehn, who's very underrated as an actor, as Kyle Reese, this human who's sent back to protect Sarah, from this monster. And Lyndall Hamilton, she has the right amount of vulnerability as Sarah Connor, and of course, she will go on to become James Cameron's wife. But yeah, she's pretty tailor-made to this role. You have great supporting actors in Paul Winfield, Lance Henriksen, and Earl Bowen, and just like and this is like the pacing of it is just it's undeniably fast, and it's sharp in its writing and its directing. It's just like it's a movie that really doesn't let up. It's kind of like a comic book in a sense, and it has let's just say it has a B movie with like an A movie. It's like a B movie with an A movie budget. It's just like, and I like the gritty vision of 2029. It's just like this hopeless, desolate place. I mean, I like how that is, how how it is portrayed, and and I like the grittiness of it, and how I like the grittiness of it, and the whole darkness of it. It's just like, and the script is fucking fantastic. And it's just like this is a movie, I mean, even though it has a really high place in popular culture, it's just it should be a little more celebrated, perhaps. I mean, it definitely has an influence on science fiction and action films. I mean, this is one movie that really ranks high, in my book. It's definitely like it's definitely a great feat in virtuoso filmmaking.
Not to mention, it gave rise to a very famous one-liner on the Bach.
Yes. One of the great lines in movie history, without question.
Just the way he delivers it too is just perfect. All right, Chris, I do have a theory as to why the original Terminator is not as celebrated as you think it may be. And that's because the sequel is so much better to so many people. We're going to get Terminator 2 Judgment Day. What's his name? The Shermanator from American Reunion, a franchise we'll talk about next week. He claimed Terminator 2 is the greatest movie of all time. I wouldn't go so far as to say it is, but it's definitely up there. I mean, as great as the Terminator was, Terminator 2 is just that much better. Everything about it got improved, from the writing to the action, character performance, even that famous, the theme, those 5 notes. Everyone knows those 5 notes, and it was so perfect. It was an absolutely stunning fucking movie. Again, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton are fantastic. The T-1000 is scary as hell. Young Eddie Furlong is young John Connor. I mean, a cool kid, and just, oh my god, absolutely stunning movie. The visual effects get a huge upgrade. Everything about it just so well done. Yeah, probably not the greatest movie ever made, but it's definitely up there. Terminator 2. Not to mention the incredible one-liners. Hasta la vista, baby. Oh, love that line. So yeah, Terminator 2, absolutely stunning movie, and hands down the best Terminator movie of them all. I will say no less. What about you, Chris?
Definitely. I echo those criticisms as well. I echo the praise. You give to this movie, and so much more. Definitely, Terminator 2 is fucking. It knocks my socks off. It's just fucking bananas. You have the great thing about this is the great twist, which contrasts this movie from the first film, is that Arnold's character, I mean, it's not really the same character, but it's definitely the guy with the same. It's like
It's the same model.
the same model, but he's a good guy in this. He was a bad guy in this, but he plays a good guy. That was fucking like genius. How James Cameron decided to go in that direction. That was like incredible. And it's just like the concept of the T-1000, just this machine that shifts into liquid metal. That is like that really knocked my socks off. And of course, and the special effects are just fantastic. They're fucking spectacular. Industrial Light and Magic broke new ground in terms of how to use visual effects. Of course, this is at the threshold of the modern of using using computers to create visual effects now. Of course, and of course it's great, and how it blends, how they use that thing, how they combine it, using traditional techniques, like practical effects, and of course animation, animatronics, Stan Winston with that Terminator exoskeleton. Of course, he continues the work he did for the first Terminator movie. It's just like they did everything well. It's a wonderfully crafted. Arnold, gives about one. Is he still like he doesn't let up in terms of giving his all as the Terminator. It's just like. And there's and I like how I like the arc between him and then the John Connor character in this one, especially because Linda Hamilton has greatly changed. She was very scared, very vulnerable woman in the first one, but she just comes into this right as a strong, very independent sort of badass, and a badass in this raising John to become this great leader. He's going to come out to be. It's just like the set pieces are just like freaking crazy. I mean, it's like freaking crazy in this movie. Of course, and of course, they're obviously in this film that gave great performances. I can't tell you enough how much Robert Patrick scared me as a kid. It's just like the amount of menace projected from his face is one to make one quiver. It's just like he's just fucking awesome as this villain. And where Furlong, has the perfect amount of spunk and charm as the young John Connor. I mean, the action is just really off the chain. It's off the chain in this movie. It's a giddy, imaginative, adrenaline pumping movie. It's just like, and then it's one of the rare few sequels that exceeds its predecessor. Is equally as visionary as its predecessor. It's like high voltage. I can't tell you how much I love this movie. It's along with his predecessor. They're just fantastic.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't know if you are. Right, where's that echo coming from? Okay, never mind. It's gone now. Okay, we're good. Okay. I don't know if you are aware of this, Chris, but there was actually an alternate ending filmed for Terminator 2. In this alternate ending, we time travel back to 2029, which was the year that John Connor sent the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator back in time to protect himself. But it's the 2029 of the current timeline in which the T-1000 was destroyed, John Connor was saved, blah, 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 and they stopped Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And the mankind is at peace. Skynet is no more. You see like an old Sarah Connor who's watching a grown-up John playing with his children at the park, and John Connor is now a senator. That was an ending that James Cameron was going to do to kind of like, end the franchise at that point. The machines never existed. Mankind lived happily ever after.
Yeah. I did hear something like that. I mean, I'm not sure it was. Wait, was it filmed?
Yes, it was filmed. They filmed it. Yes, they filmed it. Why the hell did they not use that ending? Because if they did, we would not have been cursed with Terminator 3. I mean, it has its moments, I'll admit. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is still as cool as ever, but Terminator 3, especially 12 years after Terminator 2, Terminator 3 was such a letdown. It came out when I was 13 years old, and I liked it then, but looking back on it now, it was just lame. I mean, lame is not lame isn't the right word. It had more flaws than positives. It had its moments, but there were more flaws than positives. Like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger was still cool. I get it, but Nick Stahl's an older, kind of I don't want to say a lame John Connor. I mean, I'm sorry, he was unimpressive. The female lead was kind of lame as well. And then, the female Terminator that comes back, she had her moments too. I mean, I don't know. It had its moments, but it definitely fell short of its predecessor. It definitely fell short by a long shot. And yeah, it was unimpressive to say the least. Not a terrible movie, but it certainly wasn't a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. It was, the best way I can describe it is it's watchable. But that's really all it is. It's a watchable movie. I think that's really all I can say. That's the best way I can describe Terminator 3. It's watchable, and that's it. It's not going to blow your pants off, but you're not going to get sick to death watching it. So that's what I got to say about Terminator 3. What about you?
It's okay. I don't know if it's okay. I didn't like it. It's not as spectacular as the first two Terminator films was. I wouldn't call it mediocre. I would call it watered down. It just didn't have that grit. It didn't have the darkness of the Terminator or the first two. I wouldn't call it mediocre. I would call it watered down. It just didn't have that grit. It didn't have the darkness of the Terminator or the first two Terminator movies. It didn't really. It felt kind of. I don't know. I mean, it felt kind of. I don't know. Maybe too polished at times. I mean, I'm not necessarily not having against polish. I mean, yeah, it's pretty well made, but it just fell short of great moments. It's just it's not as thematically deep as as the first two were. I mean, it's just the stunt work is pretty fucking incredible, to say the least. But it's just visually, it's not as exciting though. In some instances, it doesn't have that humanity, especially the humanity that Terminator 2 had. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that kind of heart though. It's kind of a kind of by the numbers action flick. Arnold Schwarzenegger is great as And of course, the Terminator, he's great as ever, as you say. But I wasn't impressed with the co-leads. I wasn't impressed with Nick Stahl as John Connor. I felt he was okay, but he lacked what made Edward Furlong so edgy in the role. Mm-hmm. When he played it 12 years earlier, and I wasn't impressed with the TX played by Kristanna Loken. She's hot, but she kind of it's kind of like a copy of the T-1000 Terminator 2. I mean, she's just a far cry from that character. You know, the actress is a far cry from Robert Patrick.
Not to mention her career went nowhere after this. I think you can blame this movie for that.
That may be so, but yeah, Claire Danes, I wasn't really impressed with her as well. She didn't really. She seemed like a thinly written character. There's not really much a character to her. Period. And some of the characters were a bit, useless, unnecessary. Though it's just like I said, it kind of rehashes certain elements that made the Terminator so well. It's kind of cliche in some aspects, not very clever in the way the first two were. It just doesn't have that spark that it had. Some of the dialogue can be a bit, cheesy at times. Like I said, it's technically well done, but it just there's something missing. There are a lot of things that are missing, with this. It's just a loud, dumb movie. I did not enjoy it.
Well, you think Terminator 3 was dumb? Wait till we get to this next shit. Terminator Salvation. Wow, what a lame-ass movie this was. First of all, I got nothing nice really to say about it at all. Christian Bale needs to learn to leave his Batman voice on the Batman set. Okay, leave your voice there, Christian. Come on. No. Your Batman voice stays on the Batman set. Sam Worthington, I know I'm much more forgiving with the guy than you and Caleb are, but not a good, big U.S. blockbuster budget debut for him. The side characters were unimpressive. The Terminator, the robots themselves were unimpressive. It was just like a lousy, lame action movie, just a mindless action movie that did not have the heart or the effort that the first two Terminator movies. Even Rise of the Machines was better than Salvation. Salvation was just a god-awful movie and a lousy reboot of the franchise. And a lot of people were claiming that this was a reboot of the franchise. It was going to, circle around to Terminator 1 again. Well, you're certainly not doing a great job with it, people. And thank God they didn't continue it, because that film sucked. I did not like it at all. So I got nothing nice to say about it at all. So I think I'll just be quiet for now and let you handle it. Go ahead and rip it a new one, Chris.
Oh, this franchise has disappointed. For at least 12 years, it has not really lived up to what the great, the almost unreachable highs that the first two films, they set such a standard for this franchise that everything that has followed has failed so miserably, and this is no exception. God, this seems more like fan fiction more than a real Terminator movie. It's just like it is. It's just dull. It's it's humor. It's kind of humorless. Well, I'm not saying that the Terminator movie should be filled with wall-to-wall humor, but you got to lighten up in some places. But yeah, these are dark movies. They should have their humor here and there. But this,
I agree 100%.
Yes, but this was it's completely devoid of anything charming. And Christian Bale is a lackluster lead in this. It seems like his Bruce Wayne Batman character, as you said, with the horrible voice, you want me? I'm here. It's shit. I was no. Leave that in the Batman universe. I have enough of this shit. No, absolutely.
We can't even understand you in this suit. How are we going to understand you?
And I think Sam Worthington was the only good thing about it. He did really give he did give a very good performance as a Marcus Wright. I found his arc, to be a very interesting one and very compelling one at times. Some of the side characters kind of lacked in in some areas, and some like were completely useless. It's just like it feels predictable. It's kind of a mess, and it's just like it's just a miserable attempt, to capturing greatness. It's just like this is so god awful. I was like, get on with it already. It's so storytelling is so robotic, and it's just like if that's the movie's villains, and it's so clumsily made. It's like you spend how much money on this? $200 million on shit. It's so damn depressing. This is a far cry for the like his predecessor, Terminator 3. It is a far cry to the first James Cameron directed pictures. It's like enough of it already. I believe McGee, who directed the movie, his intentions were certainly sincere in trying to restore the franchise to its glory days, and trying to get back to the live-in feel of what made those first two Terminator movies so awesome. But it didn't. He didn't live up to it. It's a special effects spectacular. That's it. I mean,
even some of the special effects were not all that impressive.
Yeah.
Case in point, that what the fuck was up with that CGI Arnold? Are you kidding me?
Oh my god!
That was so pathetic. It looks so horrible. What are you doing?
It's just like even like when they like digitally insert Arnold's face onto like another actor. It's like no. You're trying to go too far. Cut it off.
No.
Fuck it. It's like stop with this bullshit.
I mean that looked even worse than Jeff Bridges' digitally younger aged face in Tron Legacy. You know how lame that effect was.
Yeah, that seemed kind of unsettling to many degrees. To many a degree, it's just like I was like, wow. Yeah, it's just like I was really disappointed.
Yes, indeed. All right, so yeah, we've gone over the first four Terminator films. So, Chris, I understand you had, like as I mentioned at the beginning, Chris, you have a brief review of, hopefully spoiler-free review of Terminator Genesis. So why don't you take it away?
Well, I guess maybe I could be an optimist at times. I'm not sure. I was very much optimistic, when they decided that they were going to make another Terminator movie and that they were going to bring Arnold back. It's like, yes, it's going to be kick ass again. It's probably going to be like how the first two movies were. When I saw Terminator Salvation, it's like a worthless cash in on the first two. What made those first two? Every attempt since 2003 to make these movies, as good as those first two were, have failed miserably, and this is no exception. The storyline and the plot were extremely unsatisfactory. Some of the humor at times felt a bit forced and lame. Some of the acting from the leads was terrible, and Arnold was pretty good in it. It was like, all right, I welcome his return back to the franchise, despite his almost being 70 years old. But still, he was pretty awesome in it. But this movie it's just a failure on so many different levels, and it's failed to satisfy me. It's like it felt kind of convoluted, Some of the characters are a bit useless, including J.K. Simmons' character. Which it's just like it's saying why do you? I know I'm not dissing J.K. Simmons as an actor, but the character was completely irrelevant to the plot. And like I said, it rehashes ideas from the first two Terminator movies. And this is the fuck, and it's just like trying to get another liquid metal cyborg, Shake City cyborg, like stop it's a poor attempt at capturing greatness, and this too was supposed to be like the first in the new Terminator trilogy, and the planned spin-off TV series. Well, with the reception this movie's got, it was like that's not gonna happen anytime soon. It's a movie that should never been made. It's like this another disappointment in this franchise.
Sounds like we both had some bad experiences with recent releases in beloved franchises. Why can't Hollywood ever get the lesson that sometimes it's best to just leave well enough alone? Again, I come to that alternate ending of Terminator 2 where we see a bright utopian 2029 with no Skynet, no machines, John Connor the Senator. James Cameron, you should have went with that one, man. You should have went with that one.
Unfortunately, he does not have the rights to Terminator. And you're wondering, how I long for those days. Oh my God.
I long for James Cameron to come back and save this and bring salvation to the Terminator.
Oh, God.
I can't believe I just did that.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, God. Anyway, so guys, that is going to wrap up our Terminator discussion. Chris, it was a lot of fun having you on here to discuss this franchise.
Yeah, this like I said, it's great doing these things with you, Paul. It's just like great, talking, doing this, this, show, talking about like-minded topics. Well, it's a pleasure.
All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. We will be back next week to discuss the American Pie Saga. We hope you will join in for that. And, of course, don't forget we have our weekly Flash and Hour recap show coming in tomorrow. And, guys, if you're looking for additional content from us, be sure to check out our Nerds United 1.5 YouTube channel. We do a lot of side projects on that show, discussing things that we don't do on the main channel. So if you're interested in some of the stuff like that, don't forget to give us a like down here, and of course like us on our main